You walk up to the gun counter today, and the marketing noise is just deafening. They want you to believe that if it isn't the newest, shiniest, most hyped-up cartridge on the cover of every magazine, then it isn't worth your time or your money. But let me tell you something. When you get off that flat range, when you get out past 200 yards, where the wind is actually pushing your bullet around, and where your fundamentals really start to matter, that is where the rubber meets the road. Out there, the target does not care about the head stamp on your brass. It only cares about performance. Newer does not always mean better. And sadly, because of this relentless drive for the next big thing, we have left some absolute powerhouse cartridges gathering dust on the shelf. Rounds that solved ballistic problems 50 years ago, that we are still trying to resolve today. So in this video, we are blowing the dust off 7 of these underrated legends. These are the workhorses, the rounds that have taken every game animal on this planet, from driven boar in Europe to bull elk right here in the Rockies, without ever needing a flashy ad campaign to do it. Some of them are soft-shooting tack drivers. Others are absolute hammers that hit way harder than the spec sheet says they should. But they all have one thing in common. They are far better than the modern shooting world gives them credit for. Let's get into it. Number 1. 8mm Mauser, 7.92 by 57mm. This cartridge was the sledgehammer of the German infantry through 2 world wars. It didn't get that job by being polite. It got it by being brutally effective in every environment on Earth. You load up a classic 198 grain Spitzer pushing, past 2,600 feet per second, and you are delivering nearly 3,000 foot-pounds of energy on target. That is serious medicine for anything in North America. Now folks love to complain about the recoil, but honestly, most of that is just bad memories from shooting old steel buttplate surplus rifles. You put this round in a modern bolt gun, something like a CZ550 with a decent recoil pad, and it is no worse than a standard 30-06. But the performance? It is outstanding. If you are a handloader, this cartridge is an absolute dream. You can take modern projectiles like the 150 grain Mauser. Ballistic tip run them up near 2,900 feet per second, and you have got a flat shooting rifle that hits like a freight train out to 300 yards. European hunters never gave up on this round. They still use it to drop massive driven boars right in their tracks. It feeds reliably. It punches deep through heavy bone, and it just plain works. Do not sleep on the 8mm Mauser. Number 2. 7mm Mauser, 7 by 57mm. This is the granddaddy of modern smokeless hunting cartridges. Paul Mauser got this right all the way back in 1892. It is the perfect blend of manageable recoil and lethal terminal ballistics. You look at a modern 140 grain load, moving at 2,800 feet per second. The ballistics on that are eerily similar to the 6.5 Creedmoor that everyone is obsessed with today. But the 7 Mauser often does it with better sectional density, meaning it drives deeper when it hits big game. I have seen old-school sporterized military rifles with nothing but iron sights still holding minute of angle groups with this ammunition. It is inherently accurate. History tells us that WDM Karamojo Bell used this little round to take over 1,000 elephants. Now, I am not suggesting you go elephant hunting with it today, but it proves a point about shot placement and penetration. For deer, black bear, or even elk out to reasonable distances. A 160 grain partition in this cartridge is absolutely deadly medicine. It is gentle on the shoulder, easy on the ears, and devastating on game. It was ahead of its time then, and honestly, it is still ahead of a lot of the stuff being released today. Number 3. 303 British. This is the round that defended the British Empire. And when those soldiers came home, they brought their Lee Enfields with them into the deer woods of Canada and beyond. It may be an old rimmed cartridge, but don't let that fool you. Inside 200 yards, which is where 90% of all hunting actually happens. The 303 British is a meat maker. A standard 174 grain soft point. Moving around 2,450 feet per second. Hits with authority. It is very similar to the modern 308 Winchester in that classic hunting range. But what I really love about it is the recoil impulse. It is not a sharp, violent snap like some modern lightweight Magnums. It is more of a firm shove. That makes it very easy to shoot well, especially from field positions. You pair that with the incredibly fast bolt throw of an SMLE action, and you have arguably one of the best brush guns ever made. Throw some modern soft points in there like a Spear Hot Core, and you will have no trouble filling your freezer every single season. It isn't fancy, but it is undeniably effective. Number 4. 6mm Remington. This cartridge is a classic tragedy of marketing failure. Remington released it back in the 50s to compete with the .243 Winchester. And ballistically, it is actually superior to the .243. It has a slightly larger case capacity, meaning it can push the same bullets faster. But Remington messed up the launch. They put it in rifles with a slow twist rate, meaning it couldn't stabilize the heavy deer bullets. By the time they fixed it, the .243 had already won the popularity contest. But if you find a rifle with the proper 1 in 9 twist, this thing is a laser beam. You can push a 100-grain hunting bullet over 3,100 feet per second. That is phenomenally flat shooting. For coyotes, antelope, and white-tailed deer across big agriculture fields, the 6mm Remington is an absolute scalpel. Varmint hunters love it because that long neck is great for barrel life, even when you are running red-hot loads. It is a shame it didn't catch on better, because strictly by the numbers, it is one of the best dual-purpose predator and deer rounds ever created. Number 5. .264 Winchester Magnum. When this thing hit the scene in the late 50s, it was the undisputed king of long range. Winchester was advertising insanely high velocities. We are talking 140-grain bullets at 3,200 feet per second. Back then, that was unheard of. The problem was the steel they used in barrels back then couldn't handle that much heat. It got a reputation as a barrel burner. But today, with modern metallurgy, cryo-treating, and better slow-burning powders, that is no longer a deal-breaker for a hunting rifle. You are not shooting 500 rounds a weekend through this thing. For a dedicated plains game rifle where you might need to reach out across a canyon to hit a mule deer at 400 yards, the .264 Win Mag is spectacular. It shoots flatter than a pancake and hits with serious magnum energy without the punishing recoil of a .30 caliber. It feeds smooth because it doesn't have that super sharp shoulder angle, and when it hits, it delivers hydrostatic shock that just shuts animals down instantly. It is a hot rod, plain and simple. Number 6. .280 Remington. If I had to pick one cartridge on this list that is the most perfectly balanced for North American hunting, it might just be the .280 Remington. It sits right between the .270 Winchester and the .30-06, and in my opinion, it does some things better than both of them. It can handle heavier bullets than the .270, giving you better penetration on big stuff like elk. But it shoots flatter than the .30-06 with similar bullet weights. It is efficient. It doesn't require a massive magnum action or tons of powder to do its job. Remington botched the marketing on this one too, changing the name multiple times, confusing everyone. But seasoned hunters know exactly what this is. A 140-grain AccuBond. Leaving the muzzle at 3,000 feet per second is a recipe for success on virtually any ungulate on this continent. You can zero it at 200 yards and basically hold dead on out to 350. That is real-world capability that simplifies your shot process when buck fever sets in. It is just a fantastic all-around cartridge. Number 7. .257 Roberts. They call this one the Bob, and it has a cult following for a very good reason. It is based on that same 7mm Mauser case we talked about earlier, necked down to .25 caliber. What you get is perhaps the mildest shooting deer cartridge that still offers genuine long-range capability. Recoil is almost non-existent in a standard weight rifle. This makes it absolutely perfect for new shooters, or anyone who just doesn't enjoy getting beaten up by their rifle, but don't think it's weak. A 117-grain bullet at nearly 3,000 feet per second will pass completely through a white-tailed deer broadside. It is incredibly lethal without a lot of meat damage. Handloaders can really make this thing sing, using modern powders to get velocities that are nipping at the heels of the .25-06. It is quiet, it is accurate, and it is just a joy to shoot all day long. If you want a rifle that you will never develop a flinch with, the Bob is your answer. So there you have it. 7 legends that deserve way more respect than they get these days. It just proves you don't always need the latest whiz-bang super magnum to get the job done. Sometimes the old ways are still the best ways. I want to know what you think. Did your favorite underrated cartridge make the list? Let me know in the comments below what you are trusting your hunt to this season. If you liked this video, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next one, and hit that notification bell. Until next time. Train hard, shoot straight, and stay safe out there.